Pale tiefling, one lacking any color. A blank slate, you could say. She lived a moderate, poor life, wandering the town with her younger sister by day while her mother and father worked the mines. She was only 7 at the time, and known to the city folk to be rambunctious and causing mischievous mayhem, none more serious than little pranks. She was out on one of these days at the city's edge, where the children would play and hang about. She and her sister were relaxing by the fountain when a boisterous boy walked up, claiming he was amazing and great because he had a book. What good were books? They didn't fetch money or jewels to sell like the mines did, and it didn't seem like a fun picture book either. Her sister wandered past him chasing a small rodent. She happened to splash some mud on his shoes. For that, in retaliation, he pushed her. The pale tiefling was mad. She pulled her sister up from the ground and demanded the bully to apologize. He scoffed and laughed at her for saying such a thing. In her anger at his callousness, she raised her foot and kicked the boy in the groin. He fell to the ground, dropping his book. Without hesitation, she picked up the book and grabbed her sister's hand and fled back to the safety of their small cottage. When her parents came home and she told them what had happened, they were very displeased and told her that one does not do such things, and that the following day she was to march to the address on the book and return it with an apology. She nodded her head and went to bed. The pale tiefling put on her shoes and dashed out of the house early in the morning, heading to the book's weird address. It was this incredibly large building with tons of people. She stared in awe at the structure, holding the book. An adult saw her and ushered her into the building and into a room with many other kids holding matching books. She was very confused by this. A tall man walked into the room and started to instruct all the kids to seats and started to tell them what to do. She followed, not knowing what else to do. She learned magic. She casted a spell that made small sparks, like the one she saw on big festival days, like the one that her birthday fell on. It was so cool, and she did it before any of the other kids. It was at this moment that some of the adults seemed surprised and came to take her from the room. They said she didn't belong there and that the book wasn't hers. She explained that she came to return the book, but was ushered into the strange room with the other kids. A very nice lady came out and said something about vouching for her. The tiefling was confused. However, the lady walked her home after a long day of talking and sitting about. She spoke with her parents and was told to come to the school the next day, and so forth. As the years progressed, Hailiiz became a superb student under the voucher of the evocation teacher, Miss Embedo. She worked hard under the teacher and learned much. And something strange happened as she grew. Color blossomed on this small, pale tiefling. At first, it was one horn turning blue, and then it blossomed into her skin, turning a pale shade of blue, and her other horns filling in with mismatched colors. She was a bright and colorful addition to the school. Her parents were so proud of her and loved her. They bought her a pale lime green wand after saving up. Zipsy was so enthused to receive such a gift from her mother and father. She was so excited to use her wand that she accidentally set the house on fire that day. Magic was banned from inside the house. Everything was going swell and great for Hailiiz, the rambunctious. She just turned 12. She was learning to be a bright, young, up-and-coming evocation wizard following in her teacher's footsteps. Her parents were proud of her. Her sister was now in a regular school and learning. She had summoned a familiar. Rat, her bat familiar, stayed with her and became one of her closest friends and confidants. She talked about becoming a guard and protecting the city with her evocation spells. That was until one day, when she watched her parents get crushed in a mine cave-in. She had been there at the entrance to the deep mines when it collapsed. Her father had picked her up and ran with her mother, carrying her sister. Her mother tripped and dropped her sister. A rock fell on her leg. Her father demanded she carry on with her sister. She pulled her sister with her, but she couldn't leave her parents. She tried to stay and help, but a big and burly man picked the sisters up and ran. Hailiiz watched as the cave came in around her mother and father as they held each other. When the dust settled, she was the first one in there looking for her parents. She found them. Her mother was alive, barely, her father protecting her mostly. But the rocks, they were too much. Hailiiz cried as she could do nothing. Her magic wasn't meant to save people. She was useless as she watched her life crumble in front of her. It was that day she decided she would find a way to make her magic useful. save people, not hurt them. That day, you could say, Zipsy the Ambitious was born. She studied books that no others her age or skill would ever dare touch. She read everything in the library and more. She found out the secrets to the weave that others wouldn't learn. She learned it and became the first and only wizard in all of Bastion to construct magic. A reconstruction wizard at such a young age. Her teacher, Miss Ambedo, eventually adopted the two sisters, and Zipsy had a family again, even if it was a bit of a patchwork one. She studied and learned, raised her sister by herself, befriended a sweet abjuration wizard. He was so kind and was there to pull Zipsy out of her saddened stupor when no one else could. Their friendship blossomed eventually until, well, they were married at the ripe age of 19. They loved each other and became teacher assistants together. Zipsy still pursuing her magic, but at a lessened pace, trying to enjoy life. Everything was great. Her sister met a boy herself, and Zipsy was very harsh on the half-elven lad. Someone had to be the father figure. Sadly, upon her 21st year, her husband fell terribly ill with some disease. There was nothing Zipsy could do to heal him, nothing to save him. Passed within months. Zipsy was inconsolable. She was a muted version of herself. But her sister had these tiny little runts that they just brought this light to her life. Her family. They were still there, even if they were less, they were more as well. She soon started to come back to who she was. She got back into her studies as well. She wanted to save people. She wanted to keep people safe. Her sister kicked her out when she was reaching the ripe old age of 27. Go out there and make something for yourself, Hollyberry, her sister chimed. You'll never reach who you truly are stuck here in one place. You're the great and magical Zipsy. Now go and be great. She turned to the hills and walked. That is when her true story began. And what a story it was.